Someone's going to fire it up for me. Bought it from the original owner. Corvair Monza 110. Twin pipes. Of course. Ah, nice. With a little bit of modification, I think that'll fit. In the last episode, we heard old Waylon say, Jim just hit his head on the corner of that bucket up there. I gotta check and see if there's any damage. No, it looks like it's all right.
Does it look okay?
It's okay.
Well, good. I don't want to offend you.
Yeah, I'm not quite finished playing with this thing just yet. Wonder what's gonna happen next. Well, I just couldn't stood it. I had to go yank this thing out of the back of old Jimmy Hoffa and bring it in here, and I had this old stand I had started to build at one time, and actually I had a straight 8 Buick on there at one time, which turned out to be not a good motor. But anyhow, I had the stand and I thought, I'm going to set the old 6-banger on it and see, can I make it run? And instead of using Kerwood for a carburetor, I have an actual carburetor. You know, when you're working late at night and there's all the parts stores are closed and everything, but you just gotta get it running. You know, you just got to, and you keep going and going. And well, I had to build myself an adapter plate. So there you go. Yeah, that's a Woody. We got us a Woody, and it works really well. I took a burr and hollowed out 4 holes in it and made it fit the flappers in there. I got it fitting on the bottom side, and everything functions and works, and lo and behold, it runs. But it does not run well because that carburetor is shot. There's a reason that carburetor is not on something that I have around here running. I remember it replacing it. Actually got a brand new one over there on the shelf. I got some stuff sitting around here, you know, in case of emergency. So this might be an emergency. I might have to drag that other new carburetor out and put it on there just so I can hear this thing idle. It'll run, and boy, she raps. Man, it's quick. It's got a real quick response. When you hit that throttle, man, it's rup, 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 and away she goes. So I'd like to hear it idle. It just sounds awesome with those headers on there. So that's too much carburetor for it, but I don't care. You know, that's all right. That's a hillbilly adapter plate, and I don't care. That's all right too. We're just going to make it run. So stick around. You might hear some noise after a while. Well, I think I'll wire that before I cinch it down. This thing came with a box full of goodies. I've got a fan, pulley, fan belt, all the little bolts for the pulley, a set of gauges, even the radiator cap and the throwout bearing. I didn't realize I had those gauges the other day when me and Kerwood were messing with this thing. So we plugged the hole with another gauge, but not necessary. Got everything I need right there. What I need now is an old alternator or a generator or just an idler pulley of some kind. See what I can scrounge up. Well, I went digging around in my junk pile and found an old ultimatum, and it's going to line up pretty good. to be too terribly tight for this little short mission. Nectar of the gods. Give you a little background, and then you can make all the comments you want about this old motor. But my history is I grew up dirt poor on a little old farm down in the Ozark Mountains in southern Missouri, and we didn't have any money. So as teenagers, you know, me and my buddy, the most fun we could have was find an old motor like this and get it running, man. Get it to pop off and fire off, and what a thrill that was. And I've been chasing that thrill ever since. And I cut my teeth on the old 216s and 235 Chevys, and we find something like that, and if they had points and a carburetor, you know, we could probably make it run most of the time, and if it had any compression, and you know, it was just whatever we could piece together and make them run down the road. And that was before they called them rat rods. That's just what we drove, you know. But what a blast it was, and I'm still having fun doing the same thing. And I don't know anything, you know. There's millions of people out there that knows way more than I do about these motors. Nobody knows any more about having fun with them than I do. I'm an expert on that. Me and old Kerwood just have a blast when we find an old motor that's been sitting for a long time and fire that baby up. So, yeah, speaking of not knowing anything, the reason I told you that story was to tell you this one. I don't know anything about racing. This motor came out of a race car, and I guess an old stock car of the 70s. I'm not sure what it is, but I went over the mountains this past weekend, and then I stopped and got some good pictures of it, the car that this came out of. And I don't know what class it was, but this thing is a going concern. It loves to run. It goes rap, rap. It's snappy and it's tight and it raps, boy. It's responsive, but it won't idle. And I built me an adapter. Speaking of that dirt poor thing, you know, I just revert back to those times, and you use what you got. And I had a 2x6, so I put 4 holes in it and took my little burr grinder and hollowed them out real nice, and it turned out pretty good. It sealed up good. The carburetor I had, the only one I had for it was, well, I had an old Edelbrock, but I knew it was bad because I had replaced it in the past. And I don't know why I hung on to it, but that's just what I do. So anyway, I had a brand new one in a box, and there it sits right there. So I put that on there, and so I was a little surprised when it couldn't adjust it down and make it idle. So not having any experience with any kind of racing, talked to a couple of buddies of mine, talked to Kerwood, and he done a lot of racing some years back, built a lot of race motors. I don't know what kind of racing he did, but I talked to another friend, old Robo Frank, and he did a lot of racing, and he said what he ran, I think he said, was the bomber class, and I don't know what that is either, but they both gave me the same answer. They said it's not supposed to idle. It's supposed to run fast, and the way it's set up, that's what it's meant to do. So I don't know if that's the case or not with this motor, but that's what it does. It runs fast, but it don't idle, and I don't really care. It's just a blast to fire it off every time. I get a kick out of it. So there you go. That's the story. You guys can draw whatever conclusions you want to. Hey, appreciate you. Tune in next time and hear old Waylon say, "Takes a while for the tubes to warm up."
Let's mix up something delicious. It's time for the drink of the week, presented by Carb.